Hello everyone, it's Gladius. Today I want to go over item level breakpoints, how they can help you determine when to use your aspects, and also when it's worth it to upgrade your gear. To do that, we have to go over the Blacksmith in detail and understand how the upgrading system works. There's quite a few things we have to keep in mind when we're determining which items to upgrade. There's a lot to go over, so let's get right into it. So if we're in Kyovashad, we can head over to Zivik, the blacksmith. First, we have the salvage, this is something you may be familiar with, where you can clear out your items, gain some reagents to be able to use later in other crafting options. Also, we can repair our gear. Finally, this is the one we're going to be focusing on today: upgrade weapons and armor. Now, it's important for us to know that items all have an item power associated with it. This is going to determine the strength of the weapon. As you level and your character gets stronger, you're going to find higher item power items. Now, that's not the only way that we can increase an item power. We're going to be able to increase the item power of a particular item on this upgrade menu. Now, let's take a closer look. You drop a weapon up in here or an item and you're able to upgrade it to gain some stats. Now, let's talk about what you gain each time you upgrade. Each time you upgrade an item, you gain 10% of its stats and also increase its item power by 5 for each upgrade. Rare items can be upgraded a total of 3 times, and legendary items can be upgraded 4 times. Now, if you upgrade an item from a rare to a legendary, you can upgrade it the 4th time after you apply a legendary affix. Now, at this point, we can talk about what item power breakpoints are. If we take this weapon, for example, these 3 affixes roll within a range stated on the item here. Just so you know, in your game, you'll have to turn on advanced tooltips for you to see this kind of range. I have a guide on that in the description if you want to take a look at that. But as you can see, for example, on the first one, damage to close enemies, we got a minimum roll. And then the third stat, we got a 62.4, which is actually the maximum roll for overpower damage. Now, it's important to know that all of these affixes, the 3 appended affixes at the end here, these are going to have a range determined by the item power. There's stages for item powers that's going to determine the range that is given to the item and the possible stats that it can get on it. The point between 2 stages in item power is referred to as an item power breakpoint. We can actually cross the item power breakpoint by using the Blacksmith. And there's a really interesting interaction with the weapon when it crosses that breakpoint through upgrades. Let's take a look at that now. And remember, the item power breakpoint and where we fall within the stages of item powers, that's going to determine the window or the range in which our stats can roll. If we take a look at this polearm here, we can see that we have an item power of 447. That's going to fall between the 340 to 459 bracket. Now remember, we said that if we upgrade an item past the breakpoint, we're able to upgrade it to the new range and get a reroll on all the stats that came on the item. This is basically as if a new polearm with the exact same stats dropped for you at a higher item level. It would just generate those stats again the same way it does when an item drops. So it gives us a new chance at rolling higher stats. We would get a reroll to damage to close enemies, damage over time, and overpower damage. As we've discussed, when we upgrade an item, it gains 5 item levels, and rare items are upgradable 3 times. That makes for 15 item levels. And we also are within 15 item levels of 460, so it is possible to re-roll this again to get new stats. So let's do it now. Our first upgrade is going to just be the 10% that we talked about before. So we're going to upgrade it once, and then again, the second one, a 10% upgrade again to those stats. Now, our third upgrade, if we take a look at the preview of what we're going to get, notice that we get a much larger upgrade because we're crossing the item level breakpoint. We're going to get a reroll on these stats, and we're going to see what we get coming out of it. You can use this to your advantage by saving gear that doesn't have the most optimal rolls on it, but did roll the stats you wanted. If you upgraded past an item power breakpoint, you're going to get another chance to get the stat rolls that you were looking for. So that's how the item level breakpoints work and how you can use them to your advantage when upgrading gear. I also wanted to touch on aspects as well. There's been a lot of questions in my comment sections about when to use aspects, especially the really good rolls on them. Well, use these item level breakpoints to inform yourselves on the times that you do want to apply an aspect. You want to be able to apply an aspect to a piece of gear that you're going to use for a long time. Say in the most obvious point, if you're in the 6th bracket of 725 plus, you're going to know that the item levels aren't really going to drop any higher than they're already at. So you can go ahead and upgrade it at any time. Now, if you're in the 5th or the 4th bracket and you see you have an item power spike coming up soon or a breakpoint coming up, then you can wait until that next breakpoint before you apply your aspect. Really, the main goal is that you don't want to use your powerful aspects on items that you're going to replace quickly. And this is a great way to ensure that you're going to use it for a while. I'd say at the very least, if you're above your 4th breakpoint stage, you're pretty safe to use your aspect. If you're in the 5th or 6th, I wouldn't hesitate to use it if it looks like a good one for you. Now, this is going to change for everybody and their playstyle and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, don't be afraid to use the aspect if it sounds like fun to use. These things are meant to be fun. So don't feel stressed like you have to save it. But if you're trying to min-max and looking for the most optimal path, the boring answer is the longer you wait, the better, until you have the highest item level possible to ensure that you will definitely be able to use that item with the most powerful aspect on the highest level possible. Something else to go over. When we jump all the way up to the 6th tier, so now we're talking item power 725 and above, there's going to be no more item power breakpoints. So at that point, we're only going to get the 10% upgrade for each time that we upgrade the piece of gear. At that point, it's still worth doing it because you're going into the cutting edge, top level content, and any upgrade to that piece of gear is going to help you just get a little bit extra out of your items. To use this in your game, just keep in mind the item level breakpoints and then try to upgrade the items across the item level breakpoint. To be absolutely clear, the stats that get re-rolled when you cross an item power breakpoint is going to be the affixes appended to the bottom of the gear. So the 3 affixes that you're going to get on a rare piece of gear, not including the legendary affix. Just a reminder that the DPS of the weapon is not going to be re-rolled as a part of the item level breakpoint. In fact, it's just going to increase by the 10% each time you upgrade the item. Also, 2 legendary affixes do not get re-rolled when you roll the item. The only way that you can take an affix and put it on another item is through the extract system using the occultist. Imprints are going to be fixed. Your aspects are going to be fixed to the aspect and can't be modified. They can't be rerolled in any way. However, you can extract a better roll on an aspect from another legendary item and imprint that as an improvement to your current item. If you want to know more about the occultist, how the extract, how the codex and aspect system works, take a look at my guide in the description. I go over it in way more detail there. All right, everyone, that's everything we need to know about the Blacksmith and also the item upgrade system. If the video helped you out today, please heroic strike that like button. And if you want to stay tuned for more Diablo 4 content in the future, please bash the subscribe. I appreciate your time today and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.